Hello, this is Jenny at Designs with Paper. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. I have another video for my Christmas Card and Craft Series 2021, and today I have my crafty pants on. I'm working on a craft project, and I was walking through my local Dollar Tree dollar store, and I found this little house. Not at all what I was looking for. Honestly, can't remember what I was even looking for, but I looked at that and thought, I could so make that into a nativity. So I'm gonna. I have this brown acrylic paint from my stash. It is a heavy body paint, which means it is more opaque than traditional craft paint. And I am just going to go ahead and speed through the process of painting this little house. The wood was kind of a little bit rough, but not so rough I felt like it needed to be sanded. And I am not going to worry about painting the back, because if it looks messy in the end, I will just put a piece of pretty pattern paper or wrapping paper on the back and call it good. Nobody really sees the back of something like this anyway. So my plan here originally was to put the entire nativity in this house with layers of cardstock, like dimensional, from back to front. And then as I was trying to place them, I realized that was just nonsense and shenanigans because it's not big enough for that. So I decided I would just use the Mary, Joseph, and Baby Jesus part of the nativity. And this will look just a little bit like a stable, even though probably really the stable was like a dugout mountain, not so much a free-built standing structure. But whatever, we're going with tradition, not reality. I am not going to worry about painting over those stripes in the back because I will be using cardstock to cover that up as part of my nativity scene. I will take my brush and go through and make sure that I haven't left any globs of paint down on the edge from painting the inside, and just to make sure that I don't have any white showing through. So for the inside parts of my nativity, I am using my Cricut machine, and I have gone over to my left-hand toolbar and selected a square from the tools, or from the shapes category. And I will unlock the dimensions on this so that I can create a rectangle that is 5.5 inches wide by 3 7/8 inches tall. That is the approximate size of the rectangle portion of this house. Now I did, go with a margin of error of larger versus smaller because I can always trim it down. And to make the house shape, I need to add a triangle to the top of this. This triangle has a much larger steep than the triangle of my box, but that's an easy fix as well. So I am going to unlock the dimensions on the triangle as well and just kind of gradually try to make it the same width along the base as my rectangle down on the bottom or the top, whatever. And once I get it, kind of sort of near the same width, then I can go ahead and unlock the dimensions and kind of shorten it so that it's only about 1.5 inches from the peak of the triangle to the base of the triangle. Now, I am not a geometry person, or at least I'm not anymore. When I was in high school, I was quite good at it, but that was lots of years ago. So I may be using the wrong words, so sorry about that. I am just going to go ahead and continue to shorten this until it is about 1.5 inches tall. And I can go up here to my toolbar on the top and actually set that to be 1.5 inches tall. And I will bring that down, and between my mouse and my arrow keys, I can line that triangle up with my rectangle so that I can size them right and weld them together to make one shape. And I'm just kind of using my toolbar at the top, fidgeting with it to kind of get it to be the right shape. I'm using my mouse and my tool keys to kind of get it stacked on top of the rectangle. And at some point in time, I have to call it good enough. I am going to go ahead and select these, and down on the bottom right, I will select the weld tool, and it is now one shape. So I am going to push this off to the side, and I am going to go over to my left-hand toolbar and go to Images. And once I have gotten here, I will type Nativity in the search bar. A number of years ago, I purchased a nativity cut file from Etsy, and I have uploaded it to my Cricut. So I'm just typing nativity in there. First, I had to spell it correctly. That's key. And then I will go over here to the left-hand side, and under ownership, I will click uploaded, because that will just filter everything out except what I have uploaded and tagged as nativity. And as you can see, I have a number of pieces to the nativity, but I am going to just focus on the Joseph, Mary, and baby Jesus image for this project. So once I have selected that, it is going to load to my Cricut mat. And as you can see, it is jehugimous. It loads to my Cricut mat at about 18 inches tall, which is great for some projects, but not this one. Excuse me, I will go ahead and shrink that down. And once I have it small enough to fit inside my little house, I will pull on that corner there to resize it so that it takes up most of the space. And I kind of like how that's looking. So I can pull that out of my house, and now I have to figure out how to get it to attach to my house. But see, I already thought that part out. I've gone to my shapes tool and pulled out this rectangle, and I am just going to stretch this rectangle out until it is the same width as my nativity scene right there. And I will line it up at the bottom, change the color to black, and then I will shrink. I need to shrink that rectangle at the bottom as well. It's a little bit too tall, and I keep deselecting the rectangle so that I can tell whether or not those images are overlapping. I do need them to touch so that I can weld them together. So now I have shrank that rectangle, and I don't know if it's still going to be too big, but that's an easy fix. That's an easy trim. I will select both of these images, and using that weld tool on the bottom right, I will weld them together as one cut piece, or one piece of paper. I don't know the right word. One image. There we go. So I have loaded these images, or the Cricut program has loaded these images onto my mat, and I'm going to go ahead and click Make It. My Cricut machine is using Bluetooth with my computer to talk to each other, and I have selected Cardstock Plus, which means a heavy-duty cardstock. However, I should have made a different selection, and you'll see why in just a second here. So here is my house all painted and dry. I did leave that overnight. I wanted to make sure that that thick paint really was good and dry. And here are the cut pieces. Now, this is a 120-pound cardstock that I picked up from Michael's. I use this a lot for making cuts that I need to stand out. And between the thickness of the cardstock and the dullness of my Cricut blade, it is not a super clean cut. I have purchased new blades. I keep forgetting to put them in. That's where I am in my life right now. So once I have this all weeded and all of the open spaces have been cleaned out, I am going to take my scissors and a paper file and clean up those edges. So here you can see that all those little fuzzies have been removed, and I'm going to go ahead and start fitting. Now, I already knew that this was probably going to be too long, and I'm trying to find the best way to measure it, but obviously I can't use the back because the back is bigger than the inside, right? So I just pulled out my paper trimmer and I trimmed like a 1/4 inch off, and I tried to fit that in. It was still just a little bit too tall, so I trimmed another 1/4 inch off, and that seemed to be perfect on the height wise. It is just a tad too wide, so I laid down that one side and trimmed off like 1/8 of an inch, barely any, and it fits in there just perfect. In fact, I had to dump it out to fit in there so good. So now that I have all of my pieces ready to go, I can start putting my project together. So I am going to adhere this cardstock into my house with some liquid glue. I am pulling out my Tombow Mono liquid glue, lots of words, and I'm adding glue to the inside of the box. I will also add just a tad to the back of the paper, just for, you know that phrase they teach your kids in school, 1 dot and not a lot? Yeah, I didn't do that. I went with lots of dots is a lot. I am using my Cricut spatula to get into those corners and smash that down. And I obviously lied to you. I didn't put any glue on the back of the paper. I totally thought I did. Sorry. I'm going to go ahead and smash that down, and then I'm going to take my finger and kind of smear that glue. I'm not super worried about that glue because when Tombow Mono glue dries, it's clear, and also I'm putting something in front of it. Now, obviously, this rectangle on the bottom of my images is not going to work just standing there. I have to create a score line. You can do that in your Cricut machine, but I prefer to just use my scoreboard. So I have put this image in my scoreboard, and right there where the feet of the manger and the knees of Mary and feet of Joseph would theoretically be, I'm just going to score that and fold it back. And then I have a little, foot to glue down into this box. Now, as I suspected, the foot is a little deeper than the box, which is no biggie. I will just pull my paper trimmer out and trim that down just another 1/8 or so of an inch again. Not a big deal. Turns out just fine. Super easy fix. So now that I have this trimmed down and ready to go, I can add some glue to the foot or the bottom of that little piece of paper. So my plan here was that I would add Mary and Joseph to this, and then I'm going to add a star. And I thought I could put a tea light candle in this box and kind of like a battery powered candle and light it up from the back, and it would glow and look super pretty. So I tried for days and days and days and days to find the box of tea light candles that I have somewhere in my house. They've just kind of like grown legs and walked away. I legit have no idea where they are. So back to that in a minute. I decided I wanted the star to be cut out of this silver glimmer paper that I got from I don't know where, I don't know how many years ago. And I am using my honeybee star dies to kind of figure out which one is going to be the best size. I want it to kind of sort of take up most of what's left of that space. And I have selected this size, and it does. It takes up most of the rest of that empty space. So now that I have that figured out, I am going to go ahead and add some glue adhesive to the back of my star and put that in the background of the box. Now, really, I should have learned by now a little dot and not a lot, but still I struggle with that phrase. And you know, I've said it 100,000 times. I love liquid glue and I hate liquid glue. We are frenemies because it always gets all over my fingers, probably because I'm using more than a little dot. We'll just leave that there. Okay, so now I'm looking at this black paper and thinking, man, I should have cut this out of the black glimmer paper I have, but I didn't, and it's already glued down. But oh, hey, I have a Wink of Stella pen. Ta-da! Wink of Stella is the answer to all of your glittering needs when you forget that you have glitter paper in your stash. End of commercial. I have just taken my Wink of Stella pen and gone over this die cut with 2 layers just to make sure I got all of the pieces of paper, because all of the pieces of paper deserve glitter, right? And this is when I started thinking, what am I going to do? I can't find my tea lights. What am I going to do? I don't want to go buy. Yeah, I ended up going to purchase another light. And guess what? It doesn't fit in the box. Yes, it is wider than the dimension of that house. So there are no pictures or video of the tea light candle, the battery powered candle. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble about this craft project. I have linked a couple of videos here for you to watch next. And if you have not done so already, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. And hey, maybe share it with somebody else. Have a really great day.